Hey everyone, and welcome back to Exposed Scandalous Files of the Elite. I am your host, Jim Chapman, and it is either almost Christmas or right after Christmas, depending on when I drop this episode. But every year I do an annual AMA, Ask Me Anything, and this year I have a little help doing my AMA. It's not as weird, and I get the advantage of getting spontaneous questions that I don't see coming. So we're going to welcome my co-host on Crime Wire Weekly today. Introduce yourself, co-host.
I am Kelly Jennings.
The Kelly Jennings.
The one and only.
KJ in the flesh. And she's going to help me today. We're going to go over, I got some pretty good responses. I think I had like 12 of you respond back and ask me some questions, and they were some interesting stuff. So we're going to go ahead, and Kelly, you can fire away. Nothing is off limits. I am an open book.
All right, let's do it. And we're going to start here with Mark, and I believe you'd say Trujillo. I'm not good with the last names. I might just hit the first names after this.
Mark T.
Mark T. All right, Mark said, do you expect more to come out with indictments for celebs who were known to attend Diddy parties?
Oh, that's a good question. And I do not expect anything else to come out as far as criminal indictments on this case. And let me expand on that for a second. So if Sean Combs is not going to get in any serious trouble, and I know he's in jail, and I know they kind of threw the book at him considering what his charges were. Look, at the end of the day, he was basically convicted of flying escorts across state lines to participate in prostitution. Absolutely against the law, but most people get probation for that, to be honest with you. In his case, because of all the other things that came out in the trial, the judge considered that, even though that was not what he was in trial for. When it came out, they showed the videos in court that he just beat the shit out of Cassie, and everybody saw that, including the judge. Don't think that didn't play a part in the judge's mind of, you know what? I have a maximum here that I can sentence this guy to. He's not just going to get probation because of all these extenuating circumstances, these things that came out in the trial that he wasn't actually up for trial on. But nobody likes a man beating on a woman. And the judge saw that and all the drugs and things that were going around that came out in the trial. So he did do some time that most people probably would not have done. But that being said, if you can't convict him of those sort of things, it would be hard to convict co-conspirators of those sort of things, because it's always going to come back to, well, wait a minute. Sean Combs didn't get convicted. How can I get convicted as a co-conspirator when the main dude didn't get convicted? It'd be really hard to do. It would take an enormous amount of resources also. And they spent so much money, meaning the prosecution, the federal government, on this case. I just don't see that happening. Now, that's different than the civil allegations that he has. Over 100 people have come out saying he raped them and did all these sorts of things. I do think he's going to have to answer monetarily for a lot of that. These are civil cases. He won't do jail time for any of that stuff, but he may have to pay some money for sure.
Well, he's got plenty of it.
He does.
So, all right. This second question is from Melissa. Who is your favorite podcaster and why? And don't say me, Jim. I know that's what you want to say.
So you mean aside from KJ?
Yeah.
Okay. Aside from KJ, I'm going to say, man, that's a tough one because I listen to so many, and y'all, I'm like an onion. I have so many different things that I'm interested in. It's funny because on YouTube, they release every year, it's like a Christmas thing where they show the top episodes that you watch, the top podcasters, that sort of thing. And mine is all over the gamut. It's everything from like political spectrum to how to fix your car, things of that nature. But if I have to pick one, I would say as of now, it used to be Joe Rogan. Now I would say Sean Ryan. Man, I really admire the way he can interview people. Just very relaxed. He's super smart. He has a lot of experience in what he talks about, being an ex-Navy SEAL. And he talks to people from all different walks of life. So I find that very interesting. He, much like me, has an interest in a variety of topics, and he's really good. So check him out, The Sean Ryan Show.
I'm sure you just boosted his ratings.
I'm sure I did.
All right, now we've got Tina, and she said, what case overwhelms you, if any?
I guess upcoming. Oh, I can tell you that right off the bat. Epstein.
Oh, yeah.
I have a series that I am hell-bent and determined to do on Jeffrey Epstein that people have been asking me, look, with Exposed, that's right up Exposed alley. I mean, you couldn't get closer to the genre that I cover than a Jeffrey Epstein style case. Totally overwhelming. I have a lot of documents, public documents that I've been managed to download and get my hands on over the years. And that case is so bizarre. The thought of just breaking it down mind blows me.
It's almost like it would take you a whole lifetime just to build the case.
Yeah, and there's so much there. For example, I downloaded on a PDF file. I was going to print it out till I saw how many pages it was, and I'm like, I'm going to have to kill 5 oak trees just to print this out. But it was the transcript from Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. And it wasn't the trial transcript. It was the original questioning of her, and very interesting, but damn, that's a lot to cover. And so I would say, to answer your question, that case overwhelms me more than any other, but I'm going to do it. It's just a matter of wrapping my mind around so many twists and turns in that case.
Gotcha. All right. Marty. I like that name. Marty said, have you ever been threatened or received backlash for covering a case?
Oh,
I know the answer to this one.
Great question. On Exposed, no. But I do another podcast called Bloody Angola, and I've been threatened several times in that podcast. For whatever reason, that brings out the threats, right? I even got threatened by a serial killer, a legit serial killer who sent me a letter. And you know who you are. Yeah. Send me, if you're listening to this one, but send me a letter, not only criticizing my fact finding, because of course it painted him in a very bad light. He's currently serving life in prison, by the way, for murder.
Yeah, and he liked to kill women.
Yeah, and he liked to kill women. And so he sent me a letter because he didn't like me talking about him and things of that nature, threatening to sue me and stuff, not threatening to kill me because he's behind bars and I'm not. But
you should go get on his visitation list and say, hey.
Yeah, then he tells me don't contact him back. And I'm like,
you should go and say, hey,
what?
man, look.
I don't even get a chance to clap back.
I mean, geez, Louise, you got plenty of time on your hand, buddy.
I know. So that was a pretty interesting threat that I actually took that letter and framed it. I'm kid you not. And it's in my office. And the reason that I did that, I framed a picture of the victim. And I do that because every day when I come in, that reminds me of why I expose these people. I look at that picture and that gives me everything I need to know about why, because the fact that I got under his skin was what I'm aiming for sure.
Well done, sir. All right. This is from Maria. What was your most memorable podcast you recorded and most emotionally challenging?
It could almost be the same one. I would say the most, it's the same episode on both of those. And I hate to say that, but my most memorable and my most emotionally challenging would be the podcast I did called Remembering Casey. And that was Casey Frankowski, who was she was a helicopter pilot in the military, and helicopter went down. Tragically, she died, as well as some other members of the military. And actually a listener asked me to cover that, or wanted me to look into that story. And, just told me about her niece, and her name is Lisa Frankowski. And Lisa Frankowski and I have become great friends. We text back and forth all the time now. She is, I affectionately refer to her as my favorite New Yorker. Mm-hmm. And she is just about as awesome a human being as you'll ever meet. But her, I spoke to her, Casey's father, who is Lisa Frankowski's brother, as well as Lisa, about this case before I covered Casey. And I felt like I know Casey now. And that was a tough one for me to do, because I saw the emotions from, her side of the family. And it was tough. It was pretty emotional. I have so much respect for, members of the military that I really put a lot of pressure on myself to do it justice. And I hope I did do that. But yeah, that would be the answer on both of those.
All right. William says, how do you verify your facts?
Great question. Sometimes I don't. No, just kidding.
Just make it up.
Kidding. Just make it up. Whatever sounds good. No, what I primarily do, and one reason I really like doing Exposed is almost in all cases, I refer to actual court documents. You can't go wrong with court documents, because that is the written record, right? In some other podcasts that I've done in the past, there are occasions where the facts will be wrong, or there'll be, you'll have contradictory facts. And I hate that when I'm researching and I'll come across two different articles and they will have two different sets of facts there, no matter how slight it, because then it plays a trick on your mind and you start thinking, well, which is right? Yeah. Was she attacked in the house or outside the house? That matters. Things like that. And so a good journalist will try to find three sources for everything, and three matching sources from reliable sources, ABC, NBC, Fox News, things like that. And if they all pretty much G-haul with each other, as we'd say here in the South, usually you're going to be pretty accurate. But all of us as podcasters at one point or another may have got a fact wrong. You can't be perfect. I know national journalists who have gotten facts wrong, just because when something is breaking or when something comes out, it is so new and everybody's racing to get that story out. And that's usually where the facts get twisted. That's why I like to cover adjudicated closed cases, because in those cases, you have a written record from a court document, and that is the final facts. So, but primarily with Exposed, I go off of court documents.
All right. And we'll follow up with Lori, who said, how do you choose your cases?
Another great question. And, I don't know if I necessarily have a pattern. Number one, it has to interest me first and foremost, because I've covered cases where I didn't have a whole lot of interest in it personally. And I feel like you can tell a difference in the way that I present that story. When it's something that I'm really into and that I find very interesting, I can deliver that, I feel like, with more passion, and it just makes it more interesting. Also, the research for it is a heck of a lot more interesting. Anytime you're researching something that you don't have a whole lot of interest in, it's kind of boring. It take you forever to write something like that. When it's something you're interested in, it usually moves pretty quick. But I don't know if there's necessarily a pattern. I do try to look for cases that are trending when I can find those. Maybe a court case just wrapped up. I know in Diddy's case, that was super trending, but I also had a big interest in that personally. It's kind of like my time frame, if you will, was when Diddy's heyday was happening. And so that was something I had an interest in anyway. I would have followed that case anyway. And it was trending. So that was the trifecta for me of winning. But so I do try to look for those types of cases, but I don't really have a pattern outside of that. It's just what initially catches my eye and I find an interest in. And then I hope you, the listener, do too. Great question.
Yeah. That's why it's also fun, just as a podcaster myself, when people give you suggestions of cases, because sometimes they come up with some of the best cases,
That's right.
And so then Anthony said, Okay, this follows up great. Which cases are you most passionate about?
Another great question. I can answer that pretty quick. Bad teachers, to me, is a big passion for me. When I initially brainstormed a series covering that particular topic, it wasn't to throw shade on teachers. Look, I had a lady reach out to me one time via Messenger or something, and she said, I wish you would cover like bad cops or bad this or bad. There's good and bad in every profession. And she was a teacher, and she felt like I was kind of like exposing teachers to the point that it was almost insulting. And I said, my response back was, look, I'm surrounded by teachers. A lot of my friends are teachers. A girl sitting right across from me right now is a teacher, and was a teacher for a very long time. Love teachers. Good teachers don't like bad teachers.
Yeah. Good
cops don't like bad cops.
I can tell you this, as a teacher, your series is actually, I like it because those are the very people that disgust me.
Yes.
And bad teachers doesn't represent me in any way, so it doesn't affect me.
Correct.
I'm not one of those people.
Right. That's exactly. And you, of anybody, would want that out of your profession.
Yeah. How dare you hurt my students?
Yeah, exactly. In your profession, what you do, throw shade on what you do. So for me, the passion there was I saw a big discrepancy between male teachers and female teachers in the sentence that they get when they're caught fucking around with boys and girls. A male coach who gets caught screwing a 15-year-old female, he's going to prison in most cases.
You should.
Reverse that. A female coach caught screwing a 15-year-old boy usually is getting probation, less than a year, maybe 6 months. There is a major discrepancy. And the problem is, it is now, the statistics are almost evening up. 30% or thereabouts is the women versus men that are committing these sexual assaults, that are teachers that commit these sexual assaults of students. It used to be like 8% to like 92%. That's how much it's evening up. And the more of a focus that is provided on this, the more outrage there's going to be. Maybe in the future, it will do something towards, if nothing else, raising awareness and causing a stiffening of sentences. That's why I do it. That will be the series I'm most passionate about.
Okay. Well, which one, according to Shannon, she wants to know which case pissed you off the most? And what was the most frustrating thing about your cases?
I would say the one that pissed me off the most was the one I did on the MMA fighter. I'm trying to remember the title of that, but I did one on an MMA fighter who beat the shit of and almost killed a prostitute. Well, not a prostitute, a porn star that he was dating. Beautiful. I mean, she was a porn star. She was beautiful. And hey, that was how she chose to make a living. And she became a millionaire doing it. Her boyfriend was War Machine. That was the name of it. Just came to me. So the War Machine series for me was the one that pissed me off the most because there were so many signs here of who this guy was. And he just kept getting away with all this bullshit because of his notoriety as a fighter. And so how I would answer that.
All right. And then Bonnie says, what got you into podcasting?
Oh, what a twisted road. So great question. I've answered this one a couple times with people, for 20 plus years, I was an outside sales rep for a paint coatings manufacturer. If you think of, we were like Sherwin-Williams, but smaller scale, very large American company that was privately owned, $100 million plus revenue a year. But relative to a Sherwin-Williams, we were small. We're in like 9 states. It's called Farrow Calhoun. I'll shout them out, Farrow Calhoun Paint. But for 20 plus years, I was an outside sales rep for them, and we were privately owned. So because of that, we were very cheap in the way that we spent advertising dollars. We put all the money back into the paint. And so I was the advertising. And so I would go around and I got this idea that I would film painters like touching up sheetrock walls. I'd tell them, show me how you touch up a sheetrock wall. They'd do it and I put it on YouTube. And it kind of took off. And I had a little bit of a following. I hashtagged myself your go-to paint guy. And people would call me from all over the country asking me paint-related questions. Why is the paint peeling off my wall? And I loved it. I knew I was I'm telling y'all, I still am a walking dictionary of paint coatings. I was a total nerd in it. But through that, I developed some technical skills and I started talking to businesses about just their business. Through that, I started producing a podcast and hosting a podcast called Local Leaders. It is still in existence today, Local Leaders, a podcast. And through that, I had someone on my show that was a very popular true crime podcaster by the name of Woody Overton. He came on and did an episode of Local Leaders, and we just kind of stayed in touch. And somewhere along the line, he was looking for a new producer and asked me if I'd be interested in producing his podcast, which of course I was. Through that, it just grew to where I started doing my own stuff along with producing Real Life Real Crime, which was Woody stuff. Through that, I met Kelly, and we came up with Unspeakable. And then, it snowballed, man. It started out very small and just built and built and built. And now I've been full-time doing this this is my 5th year. Away from a 20+ year career that I walked away from just to do this full time. It wasn't for and I'm not just saying this because she's across from me, but if it wasn't for people like Kelly and even Woody, trusting me at the beginning and all of that, there's no way I would still be here today. So I'm very thankful for everybody that had a role in my journey as a podcaster and producer of podcasts.
Well done, sir. Well done. I'm applauding you because I know it's hard to build a business, and especially when it's 5 years.
You've built businesses.
Yeah.
I mean, you were a business owner at a very young age. A lot of people don't know that.
I was, and I learned some hard lessons, and I've also
we
learned
all
some,
do.
But it got me where I'm at. I think grit's built on the back of someone who takes it all on and isn't afraid to fail.
Agreed.
All right. So then Ben asked, what case shocked you the most?
I would say the Diddy case. I would say that the case itself was shocking in and of itself, but I kind of knew that stuff went on in Hollywood and when you get to that billionaire status, if you will, what shocked me was his sentence. I felt like I was a little shocked that he did not get convicted of more charges, because when the federal government prosecutes you, 94% of the time, you're going to lose.
Unlimited resources, unlimited time, unlimited.
And great prosecutors. Yeah. I mean, these are the best of the best. But that goes to show you the power of money.
Yeah.
But that shocked me that he didn't get convicted of more crimes.
All right. And this is your last question. This
Awesome.
is from Leah.
Leah.
And she says, do you collaborate with experts?
Yes, in some cases. Now, I am very fortunate that I am surrounded by a lot of experts in different things. Kelly being one of them, criminal justice, masters in criminal justice. So when it comes to court related things, anytime I have a question, I can just reach out to Kelly and say, hey, does this sound right to you? But I produce a podcast for the sheriff's office here locally, for example. So I have access to, questionable arrests, things of that nature. I can go to these guys and say, does this sound right to you? I have access. One of my very good friends is the warden here at the Livingston Parish Prison. And anything to do with incarceration, it would be easy for me to reach out to him and we can discuss maybe questions I had there. So I'm fortunate that I have a lot of experts in the field, if you will, surrounding me all the time. I mean, I'm always around these people. So I do confer with them when needed. Again, I'm kind of a I'm kind of a student of that game for a long time anyway. It's just been an interest of mine. I watch court cases for fun, y'all. I mean, I watch trials for the entertainment value. And you got to be a special individual to do that, have a special interest in it. And so a lot of things I already know, but of course we don't know everything. And there's a lot of things I do need to confer with people on. Great question.
Well, one of the great testaments, in my humble opinion, and I'm nobody, but in my opinion, is that if you are not willing to be a constant learner, then you're bound to get a whole lot wrong.
100%.
You're bound to get a whole lot wrong. And if you get something wrong, I think one of the great things about our job is that I know you and I both don't have a problem saying, well, we might not have got that exactly right, but it's not founded in malice. It's founded in a misunderstanding or,
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with asking the question.
Yeah.
And sometimes the answer you get may be inaccurate, but you're right. We can correct the record. And I will always correct the record. I am not perfect. I have got facts wrong.
Wait a minute.
Past.
You're not perfect?
Not.
Hang on. I have to fit. No.
Not even close. I make my mistakes
too, and they were like, sorry, you're not perfect.
Yeah. I mean, but you bring up a good point, and that is in what we do, we can always correct a record.
Yeah.
But none of that is done maliciously.
All right.
We're not going to go out there and say somebody did something and then come to find out they didn't do it, and we did that with malicious intent just to make them look bad. It's because we truly believed it at the time.
And based on everything that was handed
presented, yeah. And then when you're faced with more evidence, if that changes the conclusion that you have in your mind, we as podcasters have a responsibility to voice that.
And in true crime, I'll add this. I know it's your AMA.
But
I think that we act as a 13th juror because we're weighing evidence just like any other jury would.
Yes.
It's not like we have to take what the jury says and go with what they're finding us because we may disagree. We may not come to the conclusion the same way, but we still have a voice. We still have an opinion. We still have a mind. And I think that we give valuable insight, too, to people that don't get to research the cases like we do. Maybe they just see a headline. We get to dive in, good, bad, or indifferent, and at least expose, in your case, expose what isn't making the full headline.
Yeah. That's right.
Great.
That's right.
You have a great podcast, Jim.
Thank you very much. And so that's the last one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much to all of you that sent in the questions. I hope I gave you the insight you were looking for on that. If this airs before Christmas, Merry Christmas. If it's after Christmas, Happy New Year's coming up. So I'll say that to you. And I do want to say, look, 2025 was a banner year for Exposed Scandalous Files of the Elite. We almost tripled, y'all, our downloads from the prior year. That is just about unheard of in this business. Thank you, Sean Combs, for all your help with that. Gained a lot of listeners through that. But I really do appreciate each and every single one of you for listening. I know you can get your podcast anywhere. I know that valuable hour that you spend with me is an hour that you're spending, you could be spending with anybody, and you choose to listen to my podcast. That's a choice you make, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, how much I love and appreciate each and every one of you for everything you do for me. Patreon supporters could not do it without you. This show is not free, and, there's a lot of costs there, nothing more expensive than time. And it takes a lot of time to run these things. And without y'all, it just wouldn't make sense. So thank you so much, especially to my Patreon supporters for all you do. And until next time, I'm Jim Chapman, your host of Exposed Scandalous Files of the Elite. Much love.